The sun was super hot, baking the dry Arizona ground, and Tobias Crow looked sadly at the tiny bit of water left in his wooden bucket. 7 groups of people were coming to his house soon, but he didn't know his next choice would flip everything upside down. His tired hands shook as he held the bucket. It hadn't rained in 3 days. His cows were getting sick, his plants were turning to dust, and his water well was empty that morning. A crumpled note in his pocket said he had 12 days to pay the bank or lose everything he and his late wife, Sarah, had worked for. Tobias wiped sweat off his face and walked to his sad vegetable garden, hoping to save a few tomato plants with the little water he had. But when he turned the corner of his small wooden house, he stopped dead. A man was lying face down by his fence, blood dripping from a cut on his shoulder. His long black hair was messy with dirt. His clothes were ripped, and he looked like a fighter, still holding a knife, even though he was passed out. Tobias's heart was pounding. Everyone said Apaches were trouble. His neighbors told him to stay close to town because of attacks and fights that could start any second. This guy could be dangerous. He might bring more people. But then Tobias saw something that made him think twice. The man's lips were dry and cracked, like he was super thirsty. His chest moved up and down in short, weak breaths. The blood on his shoulder was drying, but it could get infected in this crazy heat. Tobias looked at his bucket. That water was his last shot to save something, anything, from this dry spell. His own life was on the line. The Apache guy moved, a little, making a soft groan. His eyes opened for a second, looking at Tobias with pain and tiredness, then closed again. Tobias knew what his neighbors would say. Leave the guy and keep the water for himself. But something inside him felt different. Maybe it was Sarah's voice in his head, always saying kindness is never wasted. Maybe it was how this man looked, like anyone else suffering in the heat. Without thinking more, Tobias knelt by the Apache and gently lifted his head. He put the bucket to the man's dry lips and let the water pour out. The man's eyes popped open, surprised as the cool water hit his tongue. He drank fast, and Tobias didn't stop until every drop was gone. What Tobias didn't know was he'd just saved the nephew of Chief Running Bear, a big leader of the strongest Apache group around. By morning, his little ranch would be surrounded by warriors with enough gold to change his life forever. But first, this hurt man had something to tell him about the 7 groups heading their way right now. The Apache tried to sit up, his dark eyes staring at Tobias in a way that gave him chills. Here he was, with no way to defend himself, after giving his last water to a guy who could take him out easily. The stranger spoke in rough English, his voice calm but strong. You give water. Why? His hand moved to his knife, not to attack, but like he was checking it was there. Tobias stepped back, realizing how alone he was. His closest neighbor was 5 miles away. No one would hear him yell. You were dying, he said, trying to sound brave. The warrior's eyes got narrow, like he was looking for a lie. White? Man never help Apache. Always shoot first. He moved his hurt shoulder, grimacing but able to use it. Maybe I'm different, Tobias said, his mouth feeling super dry now. Funny, he gave his water to save a guy who might not think twice about ending him. But instead of grabbing his weapon, the Apache did something surprising. He pulled a small thing wrapped in animal skin from a pouch on his belt, moving slowly, like it was a big deal. My name is Ajana, nephew of Chief Running Bear, he said, his English better than before. You saved my life. Apache rules say I owe you. Tobias felt a shiver even in the heat. Payment from Apaches could mean anything. Maybe they'd leave him alone. Or maybe they'd come back with more people to test this weird white guy who was kind. Ayana unwrapped the thing, showing a small turquoise stone shaped like an eagle. This is special. It says you're a friend to the 7 groups, he said, holding it out. Tobias took it slowly, and the second it touched his hand, Ayana's face changed shock, fear, then worry. You don't get it, Ayana said, standing even though he was hurt. The 7 groups, they're already coming. My uncle sent warriors to find me when I didn't come back. He looked at the horizon, squinting. They think you took me, maybe killed me. Tobias's stomach sank. How many warriors? Maybe 50, maybe more, Ayana said, grabbing Tobias's arm hard. They see me hurt on your land. They think you're the enemy. They'll want to get even. The turquoise felt hot in Tobias's hand. He looked from the stone to Ayana's worried face, trying to understand. But I helped you, Tobias sighed, freaking out. I gave you water. I saved you. Ayana nodded, serious. I know, but my uncle only sees his hurt nephew near a white man's house. He'll think you tried to kill me as a warning to others. A far-off sound like thunder came across the desert, but the sky was clear. Both men looked, where a dust cloud was starting to grow. Ayana's face went pale. They're coming now, maybe an hour, maybe less, he said, looking at Tobias with thanks and worry. The eagle stone will protect you if they believe me, but if they think I'm lying to save myself. He didn't finish, but Tobias could guess what 50 warriors would do to a lone farmer they thought tried to kill their chief's nephew. As the dust cloud got bigger, Ayana said something that changed everything about what was coming. Ayana grabbed Tobias's shoulder, super serious. There's something else you gotta know before they get here, he whispered fast. I wasn't alone when I got hurt. I was carrying something that makes this way worse. Tobias felt frozen. What do you mean? 3 days ago, my uncle sent me to take a message to other group leaders, Ayana said, eyes flicking to the dust cloud. 7 groups are teaming up against an army fort 20 miles north. They want to push the soldiers out for good. I was carrying special war tokens, proof of this team-up. Tobias stared, terrified. You're saying you have proof of a war plan, and it's here. Worse, Ayana said, limping to some rocks by Tobias's fence. Yesterday, soldiers attacked me. They wanted the tokens, wanted to know about the plan. I got away, barely, and hid the tokens before I passed out on your land. Tobias followed, his brain going wild. This wasn't just about saving a guy, it was about being stuck in a fight between the army and 7 Apache groups. Ayana knelt by a big rock, moving smaller ones even though it hurt. If my uncle finds the tokens gone, he'll think you stole them. If soldiers find them here, they'll think you're helping the Apache against the army. He looked at Tobias, dead serious. Either way, you're in big trouble. From under the rocks, Ayana pulled a leather pouch wrapped in red cloth. Even without opening it, Tobias could tell it had lots of things inside: carved bones, metal bits, maybe. Even scalps, stuff he didn't want to know about. 7 war tokens, Ayana said. 1 from each group leader. Together, they mean a big attack on Fort Bravery. Hundreds of soldiers will die if this plan works. Tobias felt dizzy. So what do we do? If I give them to your uncle, I'm helping a war against soldiers. If I don't, 50 warriors will come for me. There's another way, Ayana said quietly, but you won't like it. Before he could explain, the sound of horses got louder. Through the heat, Tobias could see riders' war paint, weapons shining, riding like they were ready to fight, not just looking for someone. They already think you're the enemy, Ayana said, wrapping the tokens fast. They see me hurt. You standing over me with these tokens. They'll think you tortured me for info, then tried to sell it to the army. Tobias's mouth was super dry. But that's crazy. I'm just a farmer. I don't even have a gun. Apache rules are simple, Ayana said, hiding the pouch under the rocks. An enemy who takes a chief's nephew and steals sacred. Tokens die slow, real slow. The lead rider was close now, a huge guy with red and black war paint, scars on his chest and arms. This had to be Chief Running Bear. Tell me the other way, Tobias said, panicking. Ayana stood slowly, testing his hurt shoulder. We convince my uncle you're not the enemy, that spirits chose you to help the 7 groups win this war. He looked right at Tobias's eyes. But you'd have to agree to something that makes you a traitor to your own people. The warriors were so close Tobias could hear their shouts. 50 armed Apache fighters, all painted for battle, heading straight for his little farm. Somewhere in that crowd, Chief Running Bear was about to learn something about his nephew's rescue that would decide everyone's future. The warriors slowed, forming a big circle around Tobias's land. Chief Running Bear got off his horse, looking super mad but calm. He checked out the scene his hurt nephew next to a white rancher, both looking nervous. Running Bear spoke fast in Apache to Ayana, his voice sharp like he was demanding answers about his hurt family. Ayana answered quick, pointing to Tobias and the empty bucket nearby. But Running Bear's face got even madder. He asked another question, pointing at Tobias. "What's he saying?" Tobias whispered. "He's asking why a white guy would help an Apache," Ayana said quietly. "He thinks it's a trick. He says white men only act nice when they want something. He wants to know what you really want." Running Bear walked closer to Tobias, his hand on a scary curved knife. The other warriors stayed on their horses, ready, their weapons shiny in the sun. The chief's dark eyes looked Tobias up and down, seeing his old clothes, rough hands and scared face. When Running Bear spoke again, his English was clear, like a teacher giving a big test. "My nephew says a wild story. Says you gave your last water to a dying Apache. Says you were kind when you could have shot him." He stopped, walking around Tobias like a cat watching a mouse. "But Apache know white men play tricks. What do you really want, farmer?" Tobias's heart was beating so loud, he thought everyone could hear. This was what Ayana warned him about. One wrong word, and 50 warriors would make him an example. "I don't want anything," Tobias said, surprised his voice didn't shake. "Your nephew was dying. I had water. It felt right." Running Bear stopped walking and stared right into Tobias's eyes. "Right?" He spit in the dirt. "White soldiers kill Apache kids. Think it's right. White settlers take Apache land. Think it's right. White leaders break every promise. Think it's right." His voice got loud, full of years of anger. Now a white farmer says he saved an Apache because it's right? The air felt heavy, like it could snap. Every warrior watched, waiting for their chief's signal. One mistake and it'd be over. But then Ayana stepped up and said something that changed it all. He pulled out the turquoise eagle stone and held it high, talking fast in Apache, pointing between Tobias and the stone. Running Bear's eyes got wide. Some warriors leaned forward, whispering to each other. The chief took the stone from his nephew, looking at it carefully, flipping it over. "This is the sacred eagle of the water spirits," Running Bear said, slowly, his anger turning to surprise. "Ayana says when you touched it, it got warm. Says spirits see you as a friend." Tobias had no clue what was going on, but he could feel the warriors' mood shift. They were still mad, but now they were confused, maybe even a little. "But there's a problem," Running Bear said, his voice low and scary. "Ayana carried something super important when soldiers attacked him. Something that shows Apache power to the world." His eyes stared hard at Tobias. "If it's gone, if you took it, or soldiers found it, being a friend means nothing. If you were Tobias, what would you do? Tell him you know about the war tokens and risk looking like a spy, or act like you don't know and hope they don't search your land. Tell me in the comments. I gotta know which side you pick, because what happened next would decide if Tobias saw another sunrise." Running Bear waved to his warriors, and they started getting off their horses. "We search your land, white man," he said. "If we find what we're looking for, you're okay. If we find you stole our sacred war tokens," he pulled his knife and checked its edge against his thumb, "you die slow, and your screams will warn others not to steal." From the 7 groups, as the warriors spread out to search, none of them saw what Ayana was doing secretly behind the rock where the tokens were hidden. While the warriors checked Tobias's land, Ayana moved behind the rock, super careful not to make noise. His shoulder hurt bad, but he shifted rocks quietly. His plan was risky, but it might save them both. Running Bear watched the search, his sharp eyes catching everything. His men looked in the house, the barn, even the dry well. Tobias watched, getting more scared as they got closer to the rock with the tokens. "Tell me about soldiers," Running Bear said, getting close to Tobias. "Ayana says soldiers attacked him near your land. Did you see them?" Tobias's throat felt like sand. "No, sir. I've been busy with the drought. Haven't seen anyone for days." The chief's face didn't show what he thought. "Funny that soldiers attack so close to a white farmer's land. Funny an Apache ends up hurt at your door. His hand moved to his knife, like he was thinking someone planned this. Before Tobias could say more, a warrior shouted by the fence. He'd found dried blood drops leading from the desert to the rock. Running Bear's eyes followed the trail, and Tobias's heart stopped. The chief walked to the rocks where Ayana was Ayana, who was acting like he was just checking his wound. But Tobias could see what Running Bear couldn't. Ayana didn't. Ayana had unwrapped the tokens and was splitting them up fast. "Move away from the rocks, nephew," Running Bear said in English. "Let warriors search right." Ayana stood slow, hiding something in his good hand. "Uncle, I was just resting my arm." "Search where you want." Two warriors started moving rocks, getting closer to the hidden spot. Tobias watched, scared, but curious as they pulled stones away. Then one stopped and yelled, finding something wrapped red cloth. Running Bear rushed over as the warrior handed it to him. But when he opened it, he looked confused, not happy. Inside were only 4 tokens, not 7, just 4 carved bones and metal bits. Not the full set to prove the team-up. "This isn't all," Running Bear said, his voice scary. 3 tokens are gone, 3 groups missing. He turned to Tobias, looking like he'd kill him. "Where are the other 3? What did you do?" Tobias had no clue what to say. He didn't know where they were. But before he could talk, Ayana spoke up. "Uncle, maybe soldiers took them when they attacked me," Ayana said. "Maybe I dropped them in the fight." His voice was calm, but Tobias heard a tiny hint he was lying to protect someone. Running Bear looked at the 4 tokens closely. "These show a team with Mountain Apache, Desert Apache, Wind Apache, Apache, and Stone Apache," he said. "But missing are River Apache, Night Apache, and Blood Apache." His voice got quiet on the last name. "Without Blood Apache's token, the team-up isn't complete. War can't start." The chief walked back to Tobias, holding the half-bundle. "Blood Apache are our toughest fighters. Their token matters most. Without it, other groups won't fight." He stopped right in front of Tobias. "If you stole it, you saved white soldiers. You also signed your death." Tobias tried to say he didn't do it, but Running Bear raised a hand to quiet him. "There's one way to prove you're telling the truth. One test to show if spirits see you as a friend." He turned to his warriors, talking fast in Apache. Some looked shocked, some argued, but Running Bear's voice shut them down. "We'll take you to a sacred place," he told Tobias. "If you're chosen by spirits, sacred fire won't burn you. If you lie or stole from us, flames will burn you slow." Ayana's face went pale, and Tobias realized this test might kill him no matter what. But as the warriors got ready to go, none saw the 3 missing tokens Ayana had slipped into Tobias's hand during their talk tokens that would soon show the biggest truth of all. The war party headed to the sacred place. Tobias riding behind a warrior, his hands tied. He could feel the 3 hidden tokens in his palm where Ayana had put them, feeling like they were burning his skin. As they rode, Ayana got his horse close to Tobias, whispering over the sound of hooves. He told the truth that changed everything. "The missing tokens aren't stolen," Ayana said fast. "I split them on purpose. River Apache, Night Apache, Blood Apache. They show something my uncle can't know." Tobias looked confused. "What do you mean?" "Those 3 tribes," Ayana said. "They didn't join to fight the army. They're planning to destroy it." His voice hurt, not just from his wound. "Blood Apache's leader plans to betray the other 4. Let them attack the fort first, get killed by soldiers, then take their land." The news hit Tobias hard. "You're saying this whole team-up is a trap?" "Yes," Ayana said. "River Apache and Night Apache are helping Apache because they were promised land. I found out 3 days ago, trying to warn my uncle when soldiers hit me. If the team-up goes on, my people will ride into a slaughter." Tobias felt the tokens, heavy in his hand. "So why give these to me? Why not tell your uncle?" "Because my uncle's brother is Blood Apache's leader," Ayana said, glancing at the front where Running Bear rode. "Chief, family ties are strong. If I blame his brother without hard proof, he'll kill me for treason. But if you, a white man, show the betrayal and the sacred fire test proves you're chosen, he'll have to listen." They reached the hill, and Tobias saw where they were, going a big circle of red rocks around a flat area, ground black from old fires. Strange symbols were carved on the walls, and the air felt weird, like it was alive. Running Bear stopped everyone and got off his horse. His warriors made a circle around a fire pit while the chief started piling wood and kindling. The fire setup was careful, like something old and super serious. "Sacred fire will show the truth," Running Bear said as flames started up. "If you're a friend to our people, fire spirits will keep you safe. If you're an enemy, fire will burn your lies." The flames got bigger, but Ayana whispered the most important thing yet. "When the test starts, throw the tokens in the fire, saying the names of the 3 traitor tribes," he said. "The fire will show my uncle his brother's betrayal. But if you wait or mess up, the fire will kill you before the truth comes out." Tobias stared at the huge fire, the heat already crazy from 20 feet away. "Up close, it'd be awful. How do I know the fire won't kill me anyway?" "You don't," Ayana said honestly. "But if you do nothing, the team-up goes on. 4 loyal tribes attack the fort, get wiped out. Blood Apache takes their land, and war between us and soldiers goes on forever." Running Bear came over with a special stick, his face painted for the ritual. "Time for the test, white man," he said. "Step to the sacred fire. Let the test flames judge your heart." As Tobias was led to the fire pit, he felt the 3 hidden tokens hot in his palm. Everything his life, 4 tribes. Peace depended on the next minutes. The warriors started chanting as Tobias stood by the fire pit's edge. The heat so bad it felt like his skin was already burning. But worse was knowing he was about to call out Chief Running Bear's brother for betraying everyone. If the fire didn't get him, family might. But then horses sounded in the canyon. And what Tobias saw coming made this fire test way more dangerous than anyone thought. A new group of warriors rode in fast, their horses sweaty, weapons up. Leading them was a big Apache warrior who looked a lot like Running Bear. This had to be the Blood Apache leader. His brother, the guy behind the betrayal Ayana found out about. Blood Bear got off his horse smoothly, his scarred face grinning coldly as he checked out the scene. Behind him were his best 20 warriors, plus guys from River Apache and Night Apache groups. The timing was too perfect to be random. "Brother," Blood Bear called in English, loud across the canyon, "I see you found my nephew and the white guy who stole our tokens." Running Bear looked confused, suspicion growing. "How did you know we were looking for tokens? How did you know to find us?" "Word spreads fast," Blood Bear said, but his eyes stayed on Tobias. "When Ayana didn't come back with the team-up tokens, we started our own hunt. We followed soldiers, talked to captured scouts." His grin got scarier. "We learned something juicy about this farmer." Tobias felt cold, even with the fire. Blood Bear was too chill, too ready. This wasn't a rescue. It was something else. "What info?" Running Bear asked. Blood Bear waved, and a warrior pulled a beat-up white man off a horse. The guy's army uniform was ripped, but you could still see his sergeant's stripes. "This soldier was in the group that hit Ayana," Blood Bear said. "Before he died, he spilled a wild story about a deal with a certain rancher to steal our tokens and sell them to the army fort." The lie hit hard. Running Bear turned to Tobias, mad and hurt. "You worked with soldiers? You planned this?" "No," Tobias said, panicking. "That's not true. I never saw any soldier." But Blood Bear kept going. "The soldier said the rancher agreed to help the army learn about our team-up. Said he'd grab any Apache on his land, hurt them for info about attacks." He pointed at Tobias. "Said if Ayana got away with tokens, the rancher would trick him, then lead him to sacred spots where the army could hit our leaders." The lies were so good, even Tobias wondered if he forgot something. But Ayana stepped up, pale but sure. "Uncle, it's a trick," he said fast. "My brother's lying. The soldier might have told the truth about a deal, but not with this guy. Someone else made it with the army." Blood Bear's eyes flashed mad. "You call me a liar, nephew? You pick a white guy over family blood?" The air in the canyon got super tense, like it could break. 2 groups of warriors faced off. By the fire, weapons ready, loyalty split. Running Bear stood between his brother and nephew, stuck picking a side. "There's an easy way to prove it," Running Bear said. Blood Bear said, sounding too nice. "Let the white guy take the fire test like planned. If he's clean, the fire will save him. If he's a spy, flames will burn his lies." But Tobias realized Blood Bear wanted him to take the test because he thought the fire would kill him before he could show the 3 hidden tokens. Without that proof, Blood Bear's betrayal would stay secret, and the 4 loyal tribes would get wiped out. As Running Bear told Tobias to step into the fire, Tobias made a wild choice. Instead of walking slow into the flames, he pulled out the 3 hidden tokens and held them high. "These belong to the Apache people," he yelled, throwing them all into the fire, shouting the names Ayanna taught him: River Apache, Night Apache, Blood Apache. The reaction was instant and huge. The tokens glowed in the flames and carved symbols showed up, telling a story of betrayal that couldn't be hidden. The tokens shined like stars in the fire, their symbols spilling the truth. The River Apache token showed piles of gold being traded. The Night Apache token had drawings of attacks on Apache villages, not army forts. But the Blood Apache token was the worst. It had a map of Fort Bravery, soldier routes, and Apache camps, not for attacking but for selling to the army. Running Bear stared at the glowing tokens, shocked, then looked at his brother, starting to get it. "These show betrayal. They show Blood Apache working with soldiers against us." Blood Bear's cool act broke. His hand went to his weapon, eyes darting between the fire and the warriors around. "Brother, you trust a lying white guy and dumb nephew over family?" "I trust the sacred fire," Running Bear said, cold. "Fire spirits don't lie." "These tokens show Blood Apache's leader selling info to the army, planning to let other tribes die while taking their land." The warriors from all groups whispered, shocked and mad. The proof in the fire was clear. Blood Bear saw his big lie falling apart and went wild. "If I can't lead the team up," he growled, pulling his knife, "it dies today." He jumped at Tobias to kill the guy who spilled his secret, but Ayanna blocked him, even with his hurt shoulder. The two rolled close to the flames, fighting for the knife. Running Bear yelled orders, but it turned into a mess. Blood Bear's guys moved to protect him, while other group leaders realized they'd been tricked into a plan that would have destroyed them. In the chaos, Tobias was ignored by most, but seeing Ayanna struggle against his stronger uncle, he made a crazy choice. He grabbed the burning stick from the fire and ran in, swinging it at Blood Bear's face. The traitor let go of Ayanna to dodge, giving Ayanna the chance to take his knife. When it was over, Blood Bear was tied up, his plan exposed, his guys caught or gone. The sacred tokens kept glowing, their betrayal message clear to everyone. Running Bear walked to Tobias, his face hard to read. Tobias stood ready for whatever came, knowing he did right, even if it killed him. "White man," the chief said, all formal, "you proved you're a friend to our people. You saved my nephew, exposed a betrayal that would have destroyed 4 tribes, risked your life for family honor." He paused, then said with real respect, "Sacred fire judged you worthy. We owe you a debt we can't repay with words." What happened next shocked everyone. Running Bear waved to his warriors, who started pulling bags off their horses' bags full of gold nuggets, silver, and shiny stones. The 7 tribes' wealth for the war. "This gold was for weapons," Running Bear said. "But a war built on lies would have brought death. Instead, it goes to the man who stopped the slaughter." He put a heavy bag in Tobias's hands. 7 tribes give this freely for saving our honor." Tobias stared at the treasure, barely believing it. "I can't take this. I just did what was right." "That's why you deserve it," Ayanna said, grinning despite his wound. "We always pay our debts. If you're loving this wild story of honor and redemption, hit that subscribe button, because we're all about tales like this on this channel." As the sun set over the Arizona desert, Tobias rode home rich, his saddlebags heavy with gold from 7 thankful tribes. The drought would end someday, his ranch would grow, and he'd never face that awful poverty again. More importantly, he stopped a war that would have killed hundreds on both sides. The Apache tribe's team-up was rebuilt honestly, with running. Bear leading alone, Blood Bear kicked out forever. Ayana healed and became Running Bear's war chief, leading talks with other tribes and helping make lasting peace with the government. The turquoise eagle stayed with Tobias, a sign of friendship between his family and the Apache. Every year, on the day of that big moment, people from the 7 tribes visited Tobias's ranch to eat together and remember when one white guy's simple kindness changed history for both their people. In the end, Tobias learned that even a small act like sharing water with a dying stranger can spread out, making big changes that touch tons of lives. His kindness saved not just one guy, but 2 whole peoples from an awful war built on lies. Now click the video on the screen for a story even cooler than this, with a twist so big it'll stick with you long after the dust settles.